help people live a healthy and a happy life. I do that by offering one-on-one coaching, courses. I have an ebook out. You can get that from my website. I do teachings like this, so consider following me. I'm a wreck, but I'm maintaining. Okay, I'm glad you're maintaining. How the rest of y'all doing? How are you doing emotionally? How you doing mentally? How you doing physically? This is a check-in. So you be telling me that what's got you a wreck, King Cream. And I'm going to be sharing my own video. Okay. So I think this topic is going to help a lot of people. Conflict resolution. So we want to self-assess here. We want to stay away from looking at others here. We want to stay away from looking at others. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I want to know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, all right, good deal. Conflict resolution. We're talking about resolution skills that that can help you become better in communication. You know, a lot of times when you are dealing with another person, you have this thought in your head, they hurt me, you hurt me, right? And so that's the beginning of the conflict, where you are drawing a divide between you and a person. And right now I would venture to say a person that you love. You hurt me. When we run that statement through our brains, we immediately draw up some adversarial energies, right? And a lot of times for some people, it's very difficult to tease apart the person's character from actions, tease apart a person's character from words. You begin to mesh it all together, and then you begin to have a problem with the person rather than have a problem with what the person did or said, right? So that's the first thing, shifting from you hurt me to I am experiencing painful emotions right now. You gotta really ask yourself, do you know the heart of the person you're dealing with? A lot of times you don't, because you confuse behavior and actions with heart. I'm not saying that behavior and actions don't come from the heart, but aren't you a good person and sometimes you say some off things? Aren't you a good person and sometimes you don't use the best words? Aren't you a good person, but sometimes your behavior may be against what someone else feels should be happening, right? So if you have a good heart, even though you make choices, then how come that doesn't extend to other people? So first you need to really ask yourself, do I have a problem with the person, or do I have a problem with something this person has said or done? So we come right out of you hurt me, you made me feel, especially that. You hurt me, you made me feel, because of you. We gotta do away with those statements and ask, do I have a problem with the person, or do I have a problem with their actions or words? The next question is, has this person done something wrong? A lot of times the person hasn't done anything wrong, you just don't like it. You don't like how they perceive. You don't like what they did, what they chose, right? And so sometimes when you don't realize just because you didn't like something, doesn't mean this is a bad person, doesn't mean this person doesn't love me. It doesn't mean any of that, right? It means that I don't like what they've done because it has inconvenienced me or in some kind of way been anti what I thought should be happening. That's important. So then I want to ask you, what do you know about this person's heart? Sometimes if you're honest, the answer is nothing, and you might say, well, it's because they don't show me. Sometimes it's because you're not paying attention and you don't hear and you don't see. They've said things, but you didn't like it, so you disregarded it. Or they said things, but you believed in something else, and so you disregarded it. You have a habit of not hearing what people are saying because you be in your emotions. When you are in an emotional trigger, you don't really hear what the person is saying. You hear what you think the person is saying means. You hear meaning. And that meaning is subjective, it's based upon your interpretation. If they said, I will call you in the morning. Well, if you're in a bad mood, you may take that to mean they are dismissing you. If you're in a good mood, you might say, okay, well, I'll talk to you in the morning. It depends on your mood, your state of being, right? So what do you know about this person's heart, their character? Did you see that they were a good person before you started dealing with them? Did you see that? Were you present through it? Did you see them doing admirable things or noble things or things that really caused you to go, this is a person I could really get with? And if so, what changed? The core of the person didn't change. Your experience with them changed. Okay, so it's really important for you to understand that a lot of times people are not changing. A lot of times they're being who they've always been. It's just that you're having a different kind of experience with them. A person could be a very generous and giving person. But if you develop a painful history with that person, they might be stingy and what we may call selfish with you. So again, you got to plug into, and if you love this person and you really care about them, then it would really benefit you to look into this, right? Haven't you had spaces where you were very loving and kind and generous and soft, and then over time you became hardened and irritable and such? Haven't you ever experienced that? Did your core change, or did the situations with you and that person change? Right? So it's really important to tease apart what is going on versus the meanings that you're attributing to it. And move away from villainizing people. You don't want to be villainized. You hate it when people villainize you. You hate it when people criticize your character, right? So then it makes sense not to do it to other people. But guess what? If you criticize your own character and call yourself names and degrade yourself and demean your past experiences, and you don't offer grace and such, then you're not going to be able to do that for somebody else. So can you feel into this person's heart? And do you believe what you feel? You know what? Some people don't trust themselves, right? So they could be having a really good experience with you and feel that you're a good person, but they don't believe into it. Sometimes, in fact, they believe it's too good to be true. They believe you're putting on a representative to trick them or manipulate them. Some people think that. So what do you know about this person's heart, and do you believe it? Right? Belief is more than knowledge. Belief is more than thoughts. Belief is something you live by. So if you are constantly attacking somebody's character or villainizing them when you don't like what they're doing, then it's telling me you don't believe in the goodness of this person. And if a person is doing it to you, they don't believe in your goodness. And that's something to talk about, because you would get caught up talking about the thing that, oh, I feel hurt and you made me hurt and you made me feel small. You'll get caught up with that. But the question is, what kind of person do you believe I am? Okay, that's the first thing for me. What kind of person do you believe I am? Okay, so from that standpoint, let's talk. Hey, not me for it. Yeah. Because if you believe I'm a selfish individual because you don't know how to tease apart behavior, words, and experiences, you're going to say I'm selfish. That's the type of person you believe I am. Based upon that, that's how you're going to act in situations where you don't get what you want, or in situations where I have acted in my best interest. You're going to say I'm selfish. That is where you begin to villainize people. And then instead of getting to that, because the real problem, if we could get to the bottom of the real problem is I don't trust this person's heart. So are we going to sit here and keep fussing about what happened at the club last night and what happened in the phone and a text message and stuff like that? We're going to keep fussing about that? Are we going to keep fussing about emails and who you smiled at and who you're flirting with? That's common interest, right? The collective, they fuss about that. They fuss about that. But the real problem is I don't trust your heart yet. And you got to hear that for your own self, right? Because if you don't know, number one, that you don't trust their heart yet, and if you don't know that you are not teasing apart behavior and character, then you're going to try to put pressure on them to change, right? Tiara says, wasted energy. What's up, Willie? You're going to start wanting them to change what they're doing, be accountable, right? Be honest, be like all of these demands you begin to place, right? But the real problem is not their behavior, because have you ever experienced a situation where you felt someone acted in an untrustworthy way and they let you go through their phone and they were upfront as they could be and you still didn't trust them? Are we going to go, well, I'm still healing? You're healing from what? Here's what you need to heal. You need to place yourself in spaces where you can feel, touch, see, and know a heart in a very real way and work from there, not actions. The problem is a lot of people are talking about, oh, love is actions, show and prove, right? No, but the real issue is the soul connection. A lot of people argue, fuss, and run around in circles. They agree to disagree and all of this stuff because they can't get down to the real problem. And if you know I don't trust this person's heart yet, then you can say that and not be villainizing the person, because I don't trust your heart yet means I haven't had enough experiences to understand your heart yet. I haven't connected well enough to your heart. I need more time to do that. That's the answer. That's the antidote. Not you become better and you do this different and I'm going to hold you accountable and you don't want nobody to. And all of that stuff is so childlike. The problem here is that I don't know your heart well enough yet. But we have gotten in this really serious relationship and my emotions are invested and I'm sabotaging what I really want because I don't know what the real problem is. I think the real problem is you act some shady ways. I think the real problem is I got pain to heal. Sometimes it is that, but a lot of times you don't know the difference between a person's behavior and their heart. Therefore, you never plugged into their heart. You plugged into what they were doing. You looked for the action, and because they were showing action, you were like, oh yeah, that's it, I love this person, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. But as soon as bad day comes, you are attacking their heart. That's a mouthful right there. When you are feeling untrusting, you are not going to be able to resolve that by fussing about the situation. A lot of people hover on that surface. It's surface level communication. And I'm happy that any communication is going on at that point, but on the surface level, most of the time nothing is getting resolved. Somebody has to water themselves down, hey Nita. Somebody has to change some behavior or try to placate the other person and make them see, and somebody is frustrated because no matter what I do, you still mad. Somebody's frustrated because I'm still healing, and you have to understand you can't tell me how to heal and how long it's going to take. You hurt me. But the deeper level is this. Before this happened, I wasn't plugging into your heart as much as I thought I was. And now that this has happened, I see that I really need us to do some work in this area. But you know, some people will kick against that. Hey Nova, because they don't want to slow down. They begin to fret. Slow down. What does that mean? Does that mean you don't want to be together? Does that mean we're breaking up? Because now fears of abandonment and disconnection start coming up. So you can't have a real conversation around this with a lot of people. It's time to grow up. Hey, Euphoric Dreams. It's time to grow up, hey, Kenyatta, and be able to have these very adult-like conversations, right? Because when you were a teenager, you went back and forth with the people you dated. You did this, no, I didn't. You hurt me. You made me feel. You talked to this one. You smiled at that one. You did this. You did that. You did that when you were a teenager. Why are we still doing that in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, even 70s and 80s? Why are we still doing that? Because we don't understand how to resolve conflict, because we don't know how to get down to the real problem. Far be it from me to be going back and forth with someone about, I think you messing with this one, I think you're messing with that one. You know what that tells me? That's fine. I'm okay with you thinking that. I'm not even going to argue with it. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good, but it tells me where we are. Right? If you don't know who you're dealing with, excuse me, if you don't know who you're dealing with, then we're going to go back and forth. Now, the question is, if you think that this person really is a cheat, if you really think this person is all the things y'all say like they ain't shit, or you really think that this person really is whatever, what are you doing with them? Because you could sit there and assassinate their character all day long. But what is making you stay there with a person whom you believe has such a faulty character? Now, that's a level of self-care. That's a question. But here's the truth. You don't really think that person is all of that. That's why you're still there. You see some goodness, and you sit there and you reason out, and you be like, they're so good with this and they're so good with that. It's just this and it's just that. You don't get to the bottom of the problem. That's why. If you are still in a relationship with a person and you don't trust their character and you're trying to heal from it, then you need to deal on the level of the heart, not the situation, not keep discussing what was done wrong, not keep taking accountability. I watched a couple the other night and they had some kind of skirmish. And they were like, I took accountability, but accountability does not lead to connection. Hey, Tiff. Accountability is part of it. But what's the real problem? Why were we even in that skirmish in the beginning? How were we able to co-create that? That's the question. How were we able to co-create such an energy between us, that such an adversarial energy, such an enemy line type of energy? How were we able to co-create that unless we have enemy perspectives and we have not plugged into one another's heart? Unless we have not moved and developed honor, unless we have not had a deep soul connection such that some of those things would have never came up. You know, when you get angry, stuff starts coming up, right? Because the purpose of anger is a cleansing energy. It's to bring things up and out. All the stuff you've been suppressing, all the things you've been thinking, but ain't saying nothing, I ain't saying nothing, I just did this. And I just let that happen. The little pet peeves and all the stuff you don't know how to talk about, anger will bring that up and out. Some people are trying to manage anger. I don't think anger needs to be managed. I think the things that make anger bubble up to the surface and become destructive, that needs to be managed in these kind of situations. Now, somebody is saying, oh, she said anger doesn't need to be managed. I'm not talking about other situations. I'm talking about this. When you are in your relationship and arguments are escalating and you are saying hurtful things and hurtful things are being said, you're going to start focusing on, you said that, you called me a name, you told this and you did that, talking about the behavior again. What's the real problem? Thank you. The real problem is the connection. It's not strong like it's supposed to be. It's not strong enough to endure hardship. Not only that, you don't have the conflict resolution skills. So you're really just set up for a hard life. And people think that to be in a relationship, it takes work. You're going to have to put forth effort. You're going to have to, they got all this behind it, right? But it wouldn't be there if you focused on what was important, which is the heart, which is the soul, which is the connection, plugging into a person's character, watching how they handle other people, listening to the stories they tell themselves about other people. Let me tell you this. If you are dealing with a person, and maybe you're that person, right, who does not know how to speak about co-creation, then you're gonna be blamed for a lot of stuff, and you're gonna blame others for a lot of stuff. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. I'm gonna stop right here and see, are y'all receiving this? Is this making sense? Are you seeing yourself in it? Because I know we sit there and we see other people in it, but are you seeing yourself in this? In spaces where you've done some of these things and fussed about superficial, surface level things, or times where you were villainizing a person and not really looking at behavior, actions, and such? Can you see where you have gotten offended simply because somebody wanted to do something that didn't suit you? I want to know before I move on. Yeah, I think that could save a lot of relationships. I don't know your heart well enough right now. And so as a result, I'm thinking a certain way, and I would like more time to get to know it. Because I believe that you're a good person. I don't understand this behavior, and part of the reason is that I'm not feeling into your heart as much as I thought I was. And that's not a bad thing. Because the solution is there. Okay. If someone said that to me, I go, that's fair enough. Okay, that's surprising, right? And I'm gonna digest that because I thought, we were connecting. But let's talk about how we can connect more and plug in more, because I do want that. Hey, Nova. If someone said to me, I'm starting to villainize you in my mind. I'm starting to diminish you in my mind. And part of the reason is not really what you're doing. It's that I don't understand where this is coming from in you. And I would love to know more so I can plug into your heart and so I can understand what I align with in it. This is some mature conversation. Now, if you say this to an immature person, or person who has immature conflict resolution skills, I should say, I'd rather say that, a person who has immature conflict resolution skills, um, they might take offense to that, right? So you got to know who you're dealing with. They might begin to fear disconnection and, well, that's fine. You don't know me. You don't know me by now. I'll just fall back. I'll just do that. You know, all of that people will be doing. Oh, wow. So you don't know my heart. Oh, you know, all that. They may do that. But you have to be strong and firm in your mature energies, right? And you could say, you know, if you need to do that, I understand that's not where I'm going with it, right? And that's not even what I said, or that's not what I expressed. But if you want to take it there, then, you know, you can make some decisions about that. Y'all know how it be. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Acting like, what character used to do that? Shanae? Oh, my God. I'm joking, but it's serious. And I've experienced this, and I've been the person doing this as well, right? So, you know how we be. We be acting up. Tell the truth and shame the devil, all right? Just lighten up a little bit, okay? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Going, looking around, hand on the heart, and everything falling out. Y'all remember Martin Mama, how she used to just start like jumping over chairs and biting tables and stuff? You know, that's funny because that's how some of us be emotionally. And I'm telling you, I understand because I used to do this stuff. I've broken phones and punched holes in walls and broke things and slid things off the table and the wall. I've done a lot. So I'm telling you what I know. All right. So get down to the real problem. What is the real problem? And when you're dealing with trust, lack of trust, things of that nature, the real deal is I need to feel more into your heart, because this situation is showing me that I am not. Right? I need some more time. I need some more experience. That doesn't mean I don't love you. That doesn't mean I don't want to be with you. It means because I want to be with you, I want to make some healthy changes, right? For the betterment of our connection. Does that make sense? I heard a teacher say it like this: be hard on the issue, be soft on your partner. You didn't hurt me, okay? You didn't hurt me. What has gone on, right? Or what was said hit me in a space, and I'm experiencing emotional pain. So when you are experiencing emotional pain, I'm glad, Kenyatta. When you're experiencing emotional pain, you ask yourself, like, what do I know about this person's heart? Do I know enough? Is this person actually doing something wrong, or is it things that I don't like? If it's things that you don't like, that's where you start looking at alignment. Because maybe you have plugged into their heart, right? And maybe you're not assassinating your heart, but maybe y'all are not aligned in key areas that lead to flow, right? How do you align in emotional communication? How do you align in finances? How do you align physically? How do you align in worldviews and spirituality? How do you align in belief systems and ways to navigate self? All of these things are important. What's important for you in alignment when you're dealing with a person? Sometimes is that you are not aligned in key areas. The next question is this area that I'm experiencing the emotional pain? I have recognized that we see things differently, we believe differently. Is this a space that needs to shift for one of us or both of us? Or is it a space where we might need to part because it's presenting significant problems because of the unalignment? Is it something that both people feel adamant about to change? Is one person kind of like feeling forced and pressured to do something because of the other person? That's a problem. Is one person shaming and blaming and faulting another person into wanting to change? You know, I've heard things like, it's a shame. I would give you the world and you won't even do this. That is shaming, blaming, faulting, pressuring. That's a sign of a person who doesn't understand alignment or how to create it. And that's a person who's going to be sabotaging things for themselves, right? Another statement that you probably need to look at beyond "you hurt me" is "you did this to me. Every time you do this to me, you take a piece of me with you." We get very flowery and poetic with the thing, and that's because we be listening to this music that had the dysfunction in it. You did this to me, and because of it, I have to do that. How about describing what happened? This happened. And when this happened, I began to think A, B, C, D, and E. And then I began to feel X, Y, and Z. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking about it? Or when a person is bringing something to you, instead of jumping on the defense, no, no, that's not how I felt. No, I didn't say that. No, no, no. We'd be like, no, no, no. You know, jump into a defense because they're saying something that you feel is untrue and you're ready to defend. But if you're really ready to resolve the conflict, what you're going to ask is, when you came to that conclusion, what thoughts led you there? You know, what were you thinking leading up to this moment that got you very upset? What were you noticing within yourself? What were you noticing within me? See, that's when you can begin to see if a person has plugged into your heart by their observations and when they share their meanings and interpretations. Then you can see whether or not they're plugging into your heart. And you know when they're not, when they are using accusation and you had an opposite experience. Now, it's normal for people to have a perception and kind of think that it's real because we're human and we do that. But what happens, what should you do if a person is giving you their observations and their feelings and such and you feel they are not true? Number one, get the broad scope of things. Ask all the questions. Find out how they're thinking, what they were feeling, how that affected them, how they shifted and such. And then you can ask them, would you like to hear where my heart was in that? Right? Because some people will try to stay on the level of behavior. Right? And I'm not saying that we don't need to talk about behavior. I just said we need to ask all the questions. You need to get a broad scope. But after that, right? After that, then if you disagree, you don't have to be defensive because you're just listening to see how they think. You can ask, are you interested in hearing where my heart is in this? Are you interested to hear my thoughts and, you know, how I came to the conclusions and what I was thinking when I did X, Y, Z? Because that might add something to what you're seeing. It may add some additional understanding, right? Because we know that sometimes people, and you are people sometimes, I am people sometimes, we get this thought in our head of what is, and we forget that other people think differently. Other people's minds move differently, and you'll create a whole painful scenario in your head, right? Because of how you think, and the other person is thinking something way different that happens, right? So are you interested to hear where my heart was? Now, I'm going to be honest and say, if I'm close to a person and they're giving me something that shows me that they are in blame or accusation of my heart, I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to like it. I'm going to feel the distaste for that, right? Because I know how important it is for me to plug into them. So it's you know, it's shocking when I find that they are not plugging in the same way. But then pretty soon after that, I'm going to realize, okay, this is good. This is good. Let me hear where they are, because that can give me the State of the Union. You know, the State of the Union address is right there. This is giving me some accuracy about where we really are, not where I am, not just where I am, not just where I think we are, but where we really are in the space together. So I might not like it at first, but I'm going to breathe into it and go, okay, let me hear what they're saying. Are they open to hearing your heart? Are they in the understanding that their perception is not necessarily your reality? Do they understand that? Not only do they understand that, but do they know how to place themselves in openness to see your point of view and then reconvene, come back together and decide where we're going from there? This is some mature type of energy. If the person is convinced that their perspective is right, and no matter what you say or no matter what they say, because sometimes it's you, right? If no matter what they say can change your mind or move your stance, if you don't come into any greater understanding, there's some questions that need to be asked. If you still believe it was the way you saw it to be, and I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying if you believe that it is the way you saw it to be and not the way they saw it, you got some conflict that can't get resolved right there. So you're going to have to ask yourself, how important is this? Am I going to walk away from this with resentment and bitterness? Because if so, it's real important. If it's something that where you just go, whatever, I don't really even care, we was just talking, then it's not important. But if you're going to hold this and bring it up another time, you got to be honest about yourself. If you like to say things are okay and they're really not, and then you hold it and bring it up next time and say, see, now the last time, it's important to talk about now. Because you're about to use that to intensify and magnify another situation that might not even be the same dynamic. Okay, so that's how you begin to set up sabotage, when you don't ask yourself, how important is this topic to me? So for me, if a topic is really important and we get to the end of the conversation that we can have in that moment, I'll say, let's take a breather. Let's take a rest. I'm going to go process some of this, see what else comes up, see if I have any additional questions or whatever, because it's not resolved for me. I'm not walking away from no kind of conflict that's not resolved without letting the person know this is not resolved for me. And I don't like walking away without asking, is this resolved for you? Are there any other things? Now, if the person is honest and they say, yes, it's resolved, and it's really not, then we gonna hit this space again, right? This is where authenticity becomes super important. If it's not resolved, say it. How do you know it's not resolved? Because you still got a little in there somewhere. I don't care how small the is or how big it is. If it's a growl, if you're still contracted, if you don't feel softened, it ain't resolved, right? But you might not need to talk about it still in that moment. Let's take a break. Because sometimes you need to digest all the things that were said and put it in perspective and then see what changes. Then we can come together again and go, well, let's circle back around to that conversation. And I don't mind circling back around, because it's not you hurt me, you're my enemy, you're this, you're that. It's not that energy. Is this my babe? And we got to get to the bottom of this, because I want to be together. That's the energy it is. Let me hear again. What are some things you feel I missed? What are the things you feel I don't quite understand? Notice I'm not asking, what do I need to change? I'm not asking that. because I'm not trying to change anything. I'm trying to understand so I can self-evaluate, right? Yeah, it's not adversary energy. It's again, it's that phrase, be hard on the issue, because I'm not letting this issue go, but I love you, right? And I want to talk to you. However, let's be honest, sometimes we be dealing with people who don't know how to move into that space. They stay and they hold and they don't really know how to process. So again, that's an alignment thing, right? The problem is not that they don't know how to let stuff go. See, your problem is you don't want to let stuff go. You hold on to things. That's not the problem. The problem is we are not aligned in the ways that we process and release things. And the question is, can we somehow move this in a space of functionality for us? Because if this keeps happening each time we have some kind of conflict, then it's going to be a hard road for us. And then I got to assess, am I in it for a hard road? Because love don't have to be hard. Connections don't have to be hard. Yes, we may have some spaces where we need to sit down and reason together, but that doesn't equal hard. What's hard is all the stuff I'm talking about, right? Asking the relevant questions. And when you don't have the skill, getting down to the real issue. What's hard is keep talking about the same surface thing over and over again, and it resurfacing with new things over and over again. What's hard is the frustration that comes with that. The connection and conflict resolution is not the hard part unless you don't know how to do it. So then what is my suggestion? Learn. I'm teaching it. Get yourself some coaching. Go to therapy. The problem is often not a person's character. A lot of times it's you don't know what to do. Y'all feeling that? Okay. So when you ask, did this person really do something wrong? What you're doing is neutralizing. Right? You're coming away from the polarization of the triggered negative emotion, and you're neutralizing it. You're coming into a neutral stance so you can see it from a different perspective. That's the only way you're going to be able to listen to stuff that you usually don't like to hear, is to neutralize. Is this person wrong for feeling that? No, but sometimes you feel like a person is wrong for having a negative opinion of what you did. You feel like a person is wrong for not seeing the way you saw. Let me give you an example. There was a time when I was married and I was dealing with this pastor, and this pastor had said something that I didn't like. I can't even remember. Okay. And the person I was married to was standing right there when the pastor said it. And the person that I was married to didn't address it. And I felt like you should have addressed it. So when, I had a problem. When I went home, I was like, I want to talk about earlier. You know that energy. I want to talk. It's already contracted. You already know its problems, right? Because I didn't thought out all the problems as soon as it happened. You didn't defend me. You didn't say anything. You just let them. You stood there while I was berated. Nah, the pastor ain't berate me, okay? The pastor did not berate me. The pastor said something that I didn't like. But it wasn't nothing demeaning or berating. However, that's how I perceived it. Now imagine, the pastor didn't demean or berate me, but in retrospect, after I, came up off of that, but imagine he didn't really do it, but I wanted the person next to me to act like he did. I wanted that person to jump and act crazy over me and my inaccurate perception and my triggered emotion. Sometimes you want people to do that. You want them to jump even if you feel the slightest thing and they didn't even see it that way. And so, I villainize them. See, you always do that. You want to take other people's side. That's because you want other people to da-da-da-da-da. And here I am. I'm the person you married to. And you can't even stand up for me. Oh, I went in, honey. The dysfunction. And we couldn't resolve that. because the person I was married to didn't feel like nothing was wrong, and that made me even madder. Oh man, you're saying that you're not even mad, you're not even bothered? No, they wasn't bothered. When I came off of that and I look back on it, I see why. Now, but I wanted somebody to act up. This is what happens when you don't really understand what's going on inside of you. And so we couldn't resolve that conflict. So you know what that did? That got stored in my file to use next time. Right? When you are living like this, you are not setting yourself up for success. Okay? And I used it to say that that person didn't care, and that was part of the proof, developing a whole case. Okay. When I look back on those things and the way that I perceive the world and stuff, I could see that the person that I was married to had a beautiful heart and still does. Very kind, very generous, even toward me. But in a triggered state, you can't see that. Okay. Here's another thing you need to stay away from. I'm sorry if I hurt you. I'm sorry if I made you mad. I'm sorry you took it that way. I'm sorry if you were offended. All that needs to go. Okay, you don't even need to be apologizing at that point because you don't really feel like you need it. Why do you apologize when you don't even feel you did anything wrong? Why? You offer a half-hearted apology, and more than likely the person is about to get fueled. The fire is about to be fanned into again because they already feel that you're not really sorry. Anytime somebody has ever said that to me, I never felt the remorse in it, even if I wanted an apology. Well, I'm sorry if I hurt you, or I'm sorry if something I said bothered you. Well, what you can say is, I see that you are bothered. I see that you are hurt. Acknowledgement, not apology. I can see what you are saying and how you describe that. I hear you when you said, when I did X, Y, and Z, you felt hurt. I hear that. You know, sometimes in aggravation or frustration, you have said, oh my God, I'm sorry. What you want me to say? Really? We gonna do that? I've learned to do this. Okay, you learned this. Yeah. Avoid saying, I know that hurt you, but that's not what I was trying to say. The but negates the acknowledgement. And you might say, well, no, it doesn't. Well, look at the person's reaction. That's how you're going to find out if that's true or not. You can say, you know, I really didn't mean it like that. I hear what you're saying. I really didn't mean it like that. Are you in a space to hear where I was in that moment? Well, I'm sorry if anybody was offended, but you know they were offended. I can see the offense. I can feel it. Right? And I would like a moment to share about the way I experienced that. Are you in a space to hear it? Well, yeah, go ahead. No, they're not in a space. They're not in a space. If you get an answer like that, well, go ahead. Go ahead. Then I would say, I don't really, that doesn't feel open to me. So I'll wait. I have learned not to try to defend myself in a space where the person is not open. I've learned It's not time to explain how I was feeling and what I was thinking when they're not open, because it's just going to cause me a greater level of discomfort and they not really receiving it anyway. I'll say that doesn't feel open to me. I hear you saying it, but it doesn't feel open, so I'll wait. Don't say nothing like, no, you're not open. No, you're not ready. No, you're not. You're saying that, but you're not. No, that doesn't feel open. I'll wait and maybe come back at another time. So let me help you in some difficult conversations where it's not really resolved, but you have to walk away, right? Or you have to take a step back. Right now, I'm having a difficult time processing this, and I want to talk more about it. I just have to go right now, and I'll circle back around later. I have to let this go because I'm on my lunch break, but I'm going to pick it back up after I get off work and give it some deeper thought. I'll be thinking into this, and once we get home, maybe we could have a conversation if we both are open. Does that make sense? Okay. When you are complaining about something and you have done all the things that I'm suggesting that you do, eventually you're going to make it to a space of understanding, of softness. That might not happen all at one time. I hope for you that it does. It may happen over some hours or some days. Okay. It's important for you not to put yourself in a space of, I'll wait till you're ready to talk. No, not that. While you're processing, I'll also be processing, right? Because if you put yourself in a space of, okay, well, if you're ready to talk, let me know. You know what's going to happen. They might take longer than you want. Then you're going to start getting irritated again. Stop doing that. Just say, take the time that you need. While you are processing, I will be processing too, and seeing what else comes up for me. You're not just waiting for them to be ready to talk. That never is a good placement for yourself. Well, I'll wait till you're ready. Have you ever felt good when they took longer and exceeded your capacity for patience? Nope, you start reaching out. I'm just checking in. Because it's been 5 days. I'm just checking in to see if we still good. Or you do something like, you okay? You good? You start doing stuff like that. Stop it. Or maybe you can ask the person, would you like a few hours to process? Something like that. Yeah, all of that becomes so dysfunctional. You could offer suggestions, right? I wonder if this would help us to move forward, and say whatever you think and ask them what they think. What I love to add to it is this something you could see yourself doing or feeling into, right? Because I want them to be able to say no or yes. I wonder if this would help. What do you think? Do you think this could help? Could you see yourself leaning into this? But if you're a person who doesn't answer authentically, then you might be saying, yeah, well, I'll try. Or look for ambivalence or uncertainty, because that means that's not something to move into. If you're dealing with a person who just wants to be together and they'll try anything, they will be accepting things that they really don't like and getting mad later or something like that. So it's important for you to be authentic here. And I'll stop right here. I'll probably put this video on YouTube and do the follow-up one on YouTube as well. And that's it. If you're new here, let me know. If you're hanging out in the lobby, come in and say hey. Consider subscribing or following. And also check out the links in my link tree and see how we could work together. It was good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad. All right. You are welcome. If you need one-on-one coaching and you want to work more into this for yourself, good, good, good. Euphoric. If you want to work more into this for yourself, then check me out on my website. Sign up for a coaching session and let's talk more about your individual things within conflict resolution. Where do you struggle? What do you want to become better at? Do you need more information? Things of that nature. All right. Well, y'all have a good day.